Thank you all for joining us for Ending the Stigma tonight. I'm pretty excited about this. It's been a while since we've done it, mainly because I give him a hard time about it, but mainly because Nathan got a real job and can't play all day like he used to.
That's true. That happened.
So it's, yeah, that come adulting, man. So how have you been, man? Work going good? Everything's
good. Yeah.
Good?
Yeah.
Good.
I'm busy with work, but I
Yeah.
enjoy it. I like it. I did some of that stuff recently, so that took up some more of my time, but yeah, everything's going well.
Good. Good deal. All right. So I've never met DeeJae before today. I've seen a few of her live streams. I saw her on Nathan's. She is the mayhem queen, or what? I should have looked at that. Anyway, she's all about the mayhem. She is the stick that stirs the proverbial pot of shit, y'all. So she likes to get in there and break down stigmas and all that kind of stuff. So I'm gonna bring DeeJae out.
Oh,
Hey.
Wonderful introduction. Let's stir the pot. Let's
stir it, man.
I had to like zip it before we went live because we were stirring already a little too fast.
Yeah, it was quite odorous backstage before.
But I appreciate it. It's been a rough day. I was telling these two, I've had a long day. I've been working. I have an adulting job myself and studying, really learning about systems, what's going on, social security systems, that kind of system, beneficiary systems, and benefits for, people that receive services and benefits and that. So I've always been an advocate, just worked in social circles like last 20 years. So that's why I'm here, and that's why I'm an advocate. And right now I currently work with jobs with disabilities, but I also come across justice involved individuals constantly. They need services. Some of them have disabilities too. So, we also work with other populations, but a lot of the at-risk populations that I see come across, and we're going to get into this a little bit because we were talking about this before the show, but the departments, our government, and how those systems kind of intertwine and interwork. But I work in employment services, so really coming from that perspective is hopefully what I can contribute to this conversation tonight.
Yeah.
Right, and advocating for more opportunities. Yeah,
absolutely. Because and a lot of felons have trouble getting a job, and a lot of times they have problems keeping a job. So I imagine you see a lot of them roll through.
Yeah.
Just riding the struggle bus. Yeah.
Right. So, okay, you see, that's all it takes, and I'm just ready to go.
Let's go.
So I feel like I can bring it from two perspectives right off the bat. The first one is, yes, the job seeker that has the background, that has to go through all the hiring hoops, right? The talking with HR, having to give that information, disclose that, which is a process in itself, working through the issues that go into looking for work, the rejection, the ghosting, all those things and then I also would approach this from the business perspective, the employer perspective, and just what they have to go through when hiring, some of the felony and those stigmas that they have to, because that in HR, coming from the HR maybe perspective, a workforce, someone that advocates and really encouraging businesses to expand their hiring practices, be more diverse, be more inclusive. Some of the things that they do that's not working for them, really to find great workers that are out there, but unfortunately they have stigmas attached, stereotypes attached. But employers really do need to be mindful of how they're, what they're missing out on, all the wonderful contributions that we bring, like lots of individuals bring with disabilities, with backgrounds, with substance abuse issues in the past that are now clean and ready, so there's just so many different walks of life that want opportunity.
Nathan and I have talked about this before on the show where, not everybody that has been to prison is going to get out and want to act right. Like, we realize that we're not just saying it's a blanket effect for all felons or whatever. Like, there's a liability involved, there's a risk involved, But when you get the ones that want to act right and they've shifted their mind to where they're going to do it, then you're absolutely right. Those employers are missing out on a hell of an employee.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, no, it's true. And I think that there's lots of all those barriers to employment, all the barriers that we talk about. And I guess I just really approach it more from the disability standpoint, because that's really where I focus most of my employment energy. But really, we do have a lot of individuals that really would benefit in the federal bonding program. And that's something that I'm more familiar with, that I know is another wonderful incentive that the federal government really is trying to encourage for more workers, job seekers in these unfortunate, what do you call it? Like groups, stigmatized groups.
Yeah,
there we go.
Yeah, marginalized groups.
Marginalized groups who really like give them the opportunity, and the tax breaks, which was kind of like the other thing that we were talking about. So federal bonding being one program, one incentive, the tax incentives also for hiring workers or with background.
So tell us about the federal bonding program, because Backstage was the first I had heard about it.
Oh gosh. Okay. Federal bonding. Now you have to go to their website, because there is a program for that. And I am not an expert in this, so by any means, I need to make that clear. But there's a program out there for workers from federal bonding. Nathan or Chris, someone's going to have to Google or can screen share. I don't know how you guys normally do it here, and can really provide the organization or the link. So that way I don't feel like a complete unprepared person. Thank you so much. But really, it's a program to help that gives increments for that kind of liability that we were just talking about, that with the stigmas. So when someone applies for a job, an employer finds out, they have a background, but they're offered that job between the employer, the job seeker with the background can apply for a federal bond, a federal bond that protects them from the liability from company losing money.
Yep, you're on a roll. You're doing good.
I think that's the general understanding of why the federal government is really trying to say, go ahead and hire them. We don't want you to lose money. You think you're going to lose money, but there's great workers out there. Find them. The risk is worth the reward, right? The risk is worth it. Yeah,
so, I found it, and I'm going to drop it in the comments.
I appreciate you. But I really do advocate. I feel like everybody needs opportunity, and I feel like people change. People can change if they're willing to change, if they want to change, right? I mean, there's always bad apples in every group. I mean, you can come from white collar, blue collar. It doesn't matter. You can come from different socioeconomic, different communities, cultures. I mean, there's just so many different people. Yeah. WOTC is fantastic for employers as well. Thank you, Adam. I appreciate that.
Yeah, what is that, Adam? CFO Adam?
Now, that is a work. I know WOTC.
That's the work opportunity tax credit.
Work opportunity tax credit from the IRS. Okay. That is an IRS thing, and you should go to the IRS.gov website to get more information on that program.
Gotcha.
So that's two different programs that are available to incentivize to really get. Now, there's other programs. Now, this is. I know. I got no letters. I got nothing. Yes. Okay.
It's kind of a running joke to give Nathan
IRS. Yes. Thank you. Small business self-employed work opportunity tax credit. So people with disabilities fall under that tax credit. That's what we're talking about, these groups that the IRS really is trying to, there's incentives to hire these groups. So, Maria, hello. I'm going to just distract myself with the chat. Can we take a moment and distract myself with the chat?
Yeah. We got Maria here.
Hi, Maria.
Adam's here. Gabe's
Thank you, Anna, for your help. I feel like that's awesome. Gabe, great.
Yeah. Loopy is here.
Loopy.
LinkedIn. Yep, LinkedIn. Yep. Mackenzie's here.
Thank you. I appreciate it. I just want to
Holly's here.
Hi, Holly.
And Julie is here.
Hi, Julie.
Yeah. There might be some lurkers too.
Lurkers are good.
Yeah, lurkers are good.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
And
know.
Mackenzie jumped over to
The
Twitch.
Twitch. Thank you.
He
Well, it's
does
not
that.
my Twitch, but
Yeah.
it's my main mode.
Right.
Mode. Yeah.
So tell us about like kind of your background with experience with justice involved people, like with your dad, because I think that's really cool because I do prison ministry too.
Okay. So a lot of my advocacy, from what I've been able to realize in my work, is it does stem a lot from my dad and what he would do and just watching him grow up. So I was raised in church, in a Christian church, and going to church 3 times a week. And I remember my dad, very active, would also be part of the church's prison, and would go to the local jails, and then he would also do state. So I know that there's a difference, right? When you go to the county, that's very different, and then
very different.
Very different when you're going to the state. So I remember, he would go to the local county jails, but he would also make his way around to the state, and it was just really beautiful. I remember he would get lots of mail and letters from inmates, and he would read them and share them with the churches. He would share his experience and what he was going through in the ministry, going through those, and hearing the stories of all these individuals that ended up in prison. And, a lot of them were just so open and vulnerable, and they would share, and just grew to really show me like a very different side, right? Because you always hear just from the outside perspective of the stigmas, right? Someone that's been to prison, terrible, stay away, whatever.
And then everything you see on TV about prison, and everybody's a hard ass, and everybody's raping everybody and killing everybody,
media.
and
Media is fantastic for stigmatizing and stereotyping.
Right.
All kinds of marginalized groups.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, but I watched a lot of TV too as a kid too. I love TV. Okay, but from going back to that, it was important. My dad loved it. He would just get so much joy out of it, and he really enjoyed it. He had friends. He would do it with friends. They would go on overnight trips if they were going to a prison on the other side of the state. I mean, for him, it was really, he was giving, and he was advocating, and he would come and he would. So, whatever that may be, it just always, Orange is the New Black. I know, I love that show too. We can talk about that a little bit now. Okay. Let's talk about that. I think I'm not sure. One of your posts about Red.
I'm not sure how accurate that is. I mean, I've never been to a women's prison, so I don't know. But
oh gosh, no, I don't know either. But it's funny that make the reference because I watched that. I watched the show on Netflix, so it was pretty funny. But I mean, even like that, right? So like all the shows you see, right? I mean, people have very much those affinities for those kinds of shows, right? Like mystery shows or the whatever shows. So. And then the ones you do see about, I mean, name some of the ones about lock and something behind locked bars or behind the ones that you see, like generally seeing those stories on the TV, that the way they're portrayed.
Yeah. It makes good. It's good for ratings whenever they have all that stuff on there.
See. I've seen bits and pieces. Listen, I loved reality TV, so I would stop and watch.
Yeah, right.
I would pause on those channels and check out and see what the story was about. But oh gosh, we're starting a whole nother conversation. Yes, let's get away from like law. Let's get away from law talk TV. Shawshank. Oh goodness. There we go. Green Mile. Like, let's keep going on.
So,
oh gosh.
I've never seen Shawshank. I read the book though when I was locked up. I read the story. It was a short story. Yeah. But one thing that stuck out whenever you were talking about your dad is it exposed you
Yeah.
early on to the human side of people who were
They're
locked up
humans. They're just
versus,
humans with
yeah,
feelings.
yeah,
Have
and then
families. They want to go home.
yeah, exactly.
They
Like that's
have
always,
needs just like everybody else. They need clothing. They need shoes. They need entertainment. They need joy. They need freedom.
yes,
You know.
absolutely.
Yes.
But it allowed you to see the human side. I already said that. Well, I had a total, like I just had a
Oh, that's all right.
you watched a brain fart happen right then. It's exactly what you watched. Hey, Mushka. Mushka is going to be on with me next week.
Hi, Mushka. That's awesome. Thank you for. I hope I'm doing a good job because sometimes I jump on these lives, I commit to these lives, and I'm like, what did I just get myself into?
And let me just remind everybody, she reached out to me.
I was going to say, I'm pretty sure that's exactly the feelings of every single person who has been on my live.
What have I gotten myself
Just
into?
Breaking stigmas, ending stigmas, talking about this is important.
It is important.
We don't have to be experts in it, but we want to advocate for it and the conversation and stuff.
And that's what we say all the time is just starting the conversation makes people stop and think, yeah, that's it. You should have, look, we'll see what happens tonight or today. I had a live earlier at 5 with Rob 𝙎𝙙𝙙𝙬𝙬.
Mm-hmm.
He had technical difficulties and ghosted me for a minute. Last week, I had a technical difficulty with someone. Something happened. They had to get up and leave for a second or something, and I was by myself. And the week before that, something happened, and I was by myself. And I don't do good by myself. So let's hope that
solos are hard.
Yeah, they're so hard. Like they're just like,
Props to those streamers that stream live by themselves. Like solo streamers.
𝙎𝙬𝙙𝙬𝙬, I'm looking at you, buddy.
I can't do it.
Kenzie. Oh wait. So I can't. I need someone to help.
Yeah. Right. No, so going back to not being an expert.
Oh yeah.
And I think that's why, like, this show is so important, and like what you do is so important on your shows. You don't have to be an expert in it. Yeah, and you bring a lot of experts on, but just having the conversation about normalizing people who have been to prison, like not normalizing what they did to put them in prison.
Right.
And we talk too all the time, and Rob brought it up earlier. He used to sell drugs. He never got caught for selling drugs. He still committed a felony. So, and we say this all the time, but I don't know what the statistics are. I keep saying I'm going to look, and I don't ever do it, of people who have committed felonies in the U.S. that have never been convicted or arrested for it. So there's probably a pretty good chance that there's people in your office that have done something to warrant going to prison, but they've never been to prison. How does that make them any different than somebody who has been to prison and paid for what they did?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, for sure.
One got consequences and one didn't.
So true.
Yep.
So true.
Yeah, I know. At least my mic's working tonight. I did a whole ass live with Julie last week.
Aww.
And I just watched the replay of it earlier. And I don't know if my mic wasn't plugged in, but it sounded like I was in an echo chamber the entire 1 hour show. I didn't even realize it. So, yeah.
Darn.
So yeah, I know, right? Like I checked it several times, checked my settings several times to make sure it was recognizing my mic.
I mean, you can try as hard, and it can be really difficult checking everything, and there's just always something bound to happen. But. So
how did you get started in breaking stigmas and advocating and everything that you do?
Okay, that's an easy question. Okay.
Because you are a fierce advocate for. Well, I looked at your YouTube channel. Like all your videos are advocating for something and bringing awareness.
Correct. So it is about mental health, disability, and trauma.
Okay.
And I do I agree with what your point about. It's not about the diagnoses. It's not about the medications you're on. It's not about how many times you've been hospitalized or why you were hospitalized, but it's where you are now, what you're doing, what, you went through that, it's a part of you, whatever, whether it's a medical or it's a disability or a traumatic experience, or you're still going through this whatever that story is. But it is about breaking the stigma ultimately, whatever it is. So yes, very much so. I think that just goes back to just me being always liking psychology since I was really early on. I just always was so intrigued by the human mind. Sure. And that could go Criminal Minds, right? The show, hey, I love that show. Like FBI or forensic, psychology. Like, it's just fascination. So I've just...
But you turn that fascination into something, into like a worthy cause, or you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, because you get, the curiosity, right, draws you in, and I was just curious about humans and social and just how do I contribute and I give back, and I've always been just Silence of the Lambs. Oh goodness. Oh. So
it puts the lotion on its skin.
But
sorry.
Oh God. Oh, I lost my train of thought now.
The way the mind works.
The mind.
Yeah,
works.
You were talking about, something.
School. Thanks, Nathan.
That's what I'm here for.
Quiet. Is this your?
He's watching the soccer.
There's a baseball game on. What do you want me to?
That's right. I knew about this. I did know about this. I was forewarned. Okay, so talking about the mental health and all that. Okay. Oh God, it's about your experience and why normalize it. How universal. It's been a long day. And why it's important to normalize how universal mental health difficulties are. We are all just attempting to make it the best we can. Absolutely. Love the dialogue. Yeah. Thank you.
Yes.
Goodness. Thank you. Yes. Okay. So my show is about breaking stigmas for mental health disability related topics. And trauma. So, and I usually kind of stay within whatever's going on, right? Awareness weeks, and it's pretty easy to follow. Finding experts, people that really have been through those experiences, and that's why it's important to share, to really show people overcoming, really being able to find what works for them, and still showing the dignity and respect of that person, no matter what they've been through or what that story is. It's just really like I like to amplify voices in that sense where people just deserve an opportunity.
Yeah. And it's funny just listening to you talk. It's not funny, but it makes sense that,
it might be funny.
Well, I mean, it's just funny in a,
yeah,
not funny, haha funny, but funny as an ironic funny or whatever. That the same things you're talking about that have to do with mental disabilities and trauma and all that stuff are the exact same things that have to do with somebody coming out of prison. It's the same. It's the stigma part of it is exactly the same. The dignity, the respect. Okay, you've been through this. What are you doing now? Okay, you're still struggling with this. What are we doing to fix it?
Yeah, it's assisting, just constant. Oh goodness, it's just constant compassion and just again respect and autonomy. Really like giving someone their power back and just aiding them through it and really being there, meeting them where they're at. All the same stuff I always advocate. And I feel like individuals, everyone deserves an opportunity to just
and even besides the stigma and the impact on someone's life, there's a whole lot of overlap that happens between these areas of mental health, addiction, criminal records. I mean, they're all overlapping, intertwined, affecting each other, and I mean, it's not.
A lot of the systems cross.
Right. Yeah. It's not something that you can address one without touching the others in some way.
And there's guys in prison, and like I was on a unit that was mainly like geriatric, sick people, stuff like that, because I was a cop before I went to prison, so they put us on like safe units or whatever. But there was a lot of guys there on psych meds, wheelchairs. So it was like a double disability, plus struggled with addiction, plus felonies, and I don't know. It just compounds it all. So when they get out, like the odds are really stacked against these guys. especially if they don't have a support system. And then the only place they have to go is back to the neighborhood they got, they fell out of.
Mm-hmm.
It's just a recipe for disaster.
Oh yeah. Yeah. A lot of very similarities in that.
Mhm.
And that's why I felt like, there's gotta be, I can fit into this conversation because it is important, and this is a topic that I'm going to get around to talking about as well. So I'm very much love that you have the show and that you're advocating for it consistently. I wish all these topics I talked about, there was somebody also talking about it too.
Right.
Where's everybody else?
Well, there's
mental health advocates over here and trauma.
Yeah.
I love, because it's so fun because it takes guts to talk about this and really just being vulnerable to the conversation. Do I say that? Did I say that wrong? Oh my God, how did that sound? But regardless, it's really important that we're all people. It doesn't matter the initials, the titles, the good, the experiences, but I think really focusing on the commonalities and really the way we all want to go. Really what it's about is the way we're all moving together.
Absolutely. And it started and it may have started before I got on LinkedIn almost a year ago now, but it's been the subject of mental health has been really hot on LinkedIn lately. And all it took was just one person here, one person there, one person here. And before you know it, everybody's talking about it. And I think that's kind of what we want to do to an extent with this show. Or with felons, not just with the show, but with felons, and bringing that awareness is the more you talk about it, the more you normalize it, and the hotter a topic it becomes.
Yes.
And the more the people see the need to destigmatize felons, because we're kind of, not like a victim stance kind of thing, but we're kind of at the back of the line when it comes to breaking stigmas. You know what I mean?
Right.
Or I could be totally wrong. But
I think we're all doing a great job. We're really doing the best we can, and it's important. So I guess I don't know what you mean. Clarify. Do tell.
So what I mean is people tend to look at felons and don't think about there being a stigma that needs to be broken.
They don't. You don't think so? That people know that's a stigmatized group, marginalized group?
Maybe they do, but I think the prejudice towards them is so high. Mm-hmm. And maybe I'm just talking from my own experience,
right? I mean? And I don't want to bring up a whole. I don't want to bring up a whole big thing because I know what it'll lead to. But I just think of some of the responses on Amanda Knight's post a few weeks back, and it's these people are actually okay with dehumanizing, marginalizing, leaving people to live in just squalor and horrid conditions and being deprived of just because of one action that they had, God only knows how long ago. And just the fact that people look at things like that and say, oh yeah, that's okay. I mean, that's one of the first things that needs to be challenged is regardless of what you think about what they did.
Yeah, I immediately
basic human decency needs to be the starting point of the conversation, not something that we're striving for here.
Okay, so this is what for me it goes back to psychiatric, institutionalized back from the 40s and the 50s and all that change that had to come because they were treating humans that were disabled and leaving them, right? So we've seen all those images. So, and now we're seeing them with prisons, right? These are still occurring day to day, real life pictures of what's going on in neighborhoods, prisons around the country. Entities, who still allows this? This is not okay. So really I see the movement forward now for prison reform, right? Really now it's time, people are starting to wake up and see this also needs attention. This also needs a voice. This also needs to be considered and represented, and changes do need to be made and made as soon as possible.
Yes. Yep. And I don't know if you saw her post, DeeJae.
I did. No. So I mean,
it was in Alabama, and it was some pictures of a prisoner in Alabama, and there was water standing in the cells, and
Okay.
Just the
Disgust.
building itself, was like falling down, and
Right.
they were
Overcrowded, mold, and filthy.
Yeah, stuff.
And
Yeah.
All
just,
the stuff.
yeah.
Oh, terrible.
And
I've heard stuff like
you
that,
put 1,000 to, in Texas we have a unit that's got 45 or 4,800 people in it. Yeah.
Sure. Yeah.
You get that many people in an area, it's hard to maintain it, to keep it clean. And I get that, because I was there, but there's a difference between working to keep it clean and the place just falling down around you and having to live in standing water and all that kind of stuff. And the comments people were making were, well, they deserve that. They broke the law. They deserve to be in. They don't need to be in the Hilton. They don't need to. Just some really asinine kind of bullshit.
Right.
And you'll hear us say this 100 times on this show. We're not advocating for people not to go to prison if they did a crime.
Right.
If as long as the punishment fits, you'll never hear me say that dude shouldn't have gone to prison. But at the same time, whenever you deny someone, Louis Colombo made this comment on one of my posts, and I love it. I love Louis Colombo. He said, when you deny someone the right to be human, you deny that humanity, or you lose a piece of that humanity in yourself. And that really, I was like, whoa, that makes a lot of freaking sense. Nobody's asking for, luxury sheets and mattresses and all that stuff in prison, but you just want your basic needs met. You want a safe place to sleep and a clean place to sleep and all that kind of good stuff. So, yeah,
absolutely. I mean, it is important, and population really does need to be advocated for. So it's important. Keep rocking it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. I mean, mental health is just so easy. Anybody can jump on the mental health bandwagon right now.
Yeah, because it's exactly. And it's important. I'm not discounting the importance.
Joking about this on Kevin Kwok's show. Everybody's a mental health professional these days. Everybody's blogging about how to maintain their mental health.
Right. Everybody's posting about it. But
it's funny, but it's good. But but still, there's you still look at these other groups that are just there's still work to be done. Is what I'm saying.
And not discounting the work that's being done in the mental health circles or the addiction circles or whatever.
But
at all.
So that's why I'm yes. This show is great. I think it's important that those topics and those issues, I don't know, right? I'm still learning. Every time I sit on one of these shows, I'm learning. I'm here to learn as well, and how I can be a better advocate and better ally, for this. So when I'm giving other talks, giving other conversations, having other, I don't want to say shows, but, it's nice to kind of have a better way of communicating and really understanding the perspective that I'm really trying to advocate for. So, I'm here to learn. So I may not know all the terms, but I definitely want to, be the best advocate. And I think that a lot of people should have that same approach too when we have these shows. It's okay, we're just here to learn together. And if we make a mistake, okay, I made a mistake. I shouldn't have said that. Dang, I should have maybe said that. And now I know, and I'm and I think that's again another perspective. I think leadership and just kind of and I haven't said anything too much about leadership, but I do want to ask leadership leading into mentoring. So let's talk about transitioning, right? So you're transitioning out of whatever, in this case, prison, coming out of prison, you're transitioning. Your support systems, always important. I think we always talk about support systems in any given situation, about how that important, and surrounding yourself, right? Who you surround yourself with. Super important.
Yep.
And how can we what more can we do? What can we each take away and be able to be that much more of a better advocate? How do we provide more how are we better advocates, I guess? I mean, I wouldn't even know what to do really to just be a better supporter in my local community.
Yeah. And that's one thing somebody asked me a question one time, like, well, what are you going to do about it? And I'm like, well, I don't know yet. Like, I don't know where this is
And I guess
headed.
there's a hole there, right? It's
Right.
like,
There's a hole there.
where are
And
these-
so, and there's so much, like, there's so many needs. Like, where do you start? Where do you pick one and start? So I said, okay. And
the
Nathan actually,
transition's important.
yeah, exactly. And yeah, that transition is something else. And I was talking to Rob about this earlier. If you don't change your people, places, and things, then you're not going to change. So when you're transitioning out of prison, like I said earlier, if you're going back to the neighborhood that you got in trouble in, that transition is not going to be a smooth transition, in my opinion.
No, I mean, I think that's for anyone in any situation, right? Like,
Exactly.
we can really generalize this, like, break that stigma, and like, people, this could be anybody.
Yeah, it could. It could. Yeah, you're exactly right. It could. But just like some of the difficulties they face, even like finding housing, or affordable housing that's not just a shithole to live in because they've had a felony. So they resort to, they have to go live on the streets or whatever.
Housing crisis, another barrier.
Yes, exactly. Which leads
and all these systems, right? All these systems.
Yes. Absolutely. Mackenzie, where are you? Are you over here just Googling stuff? Because I like that.
Awesome contributions to the conversation.
That's what I'm talking
today. I do appreciate that. So, 2 million people were incarcerated last year. That is a whole lot of people.
That's a lot of people. It is.
Privatized.
It's still, I mean, I still think about that statistic. I think it was the last time we did the Ending the Stigma show when I looked it up. The recidivism rate, according to official state of Colorado statistics, the recidivism rate for people on parole is about 50%.
Mm.
The recidivism rate for people on parole for committing a new crime, 8%. So 50% of parolees return to prison, but 8% of them return to prison for committing a new crime.
So that leaves 42% of that 50%.
42% of people on parole will return to prison for a technical violation.
That means they broke a rule. They broke one of the rules, not a law.
But what really blew my mind was when I looked up the statistic. What's the percentage of people in the United States who have a felony background, some kind of crime in their record? 8%.
The same as the recidivism rate.
The same as the recidivism rate for committing a new crime. Mm-hmm. So the chances of some random person committing a crime versus a parolee committing the crime are exactly the same. Exactly the same.
So what does that tell you? Exactly. That if you're going to commit one, you're going to commit one anyway.
Yep. Yep.
And it's a very low percentage. So they're going back on technical violations, which for anybody watching that doesn't know, a technical violation is they fail a drug test or they're out past their curfew. They're out past their curfew. Something as benign as out past their curfew if they have a curfew. Like drug tests, that's
missing an appointment with your PO.
Yeah, or a home visit or missing an AA meeting if you have to go to AA. Yep. Getting behind on your fees.
Court ordered stuff. Court ordered.
Yeah.
Parole board ordered. Yeah.
Parole rules. Yeah.
Conditions of your parole. Mm-hmm. Which those conditions are there for a reason. What's up?
I mean, it's not. These conditions. I think they were probably set in place as some sort of control, right? Control. Mm-hmm. They don't work. Obviously, they don't work. Like that's not the way it should be done. Like they're not addressing, the issues that need to be addressed, like housing and employment, and like letting them get back to their families so they can have quality of life and be that person that they really want to be, that they're capable to be. Because if you don't give them that option, then help them get to those places where they can get those resources to do that. I mean, they're not going to have anywhere else to go to what they know, right? It's just like anything else. It's easy to go back to what you know.
Yeah.
Because it's what you know.
Yeah.
But it's really hard to look around and find something new. And that could be, again, for anybody in any situation.
Yes.
Like, I want to turn the corner and I want to learn this new skill. I want to learn live streaming. The hell do I know about live streaming? But, you know, I'm going to do it, and I'm going to work, and I'm going to focus. So I just
and now
feel
you're
like
producing. Like you weren't always a live streamer.
Right.
At one time you didn't know anything, and now you're remote producing stuff.
Right. So really, you know, people can be what they want to be, and they can really go for it, and they just need the support to get to where they want to be. You know, past is, yeah, but I really believe in change, and I think psychology and just going back to like being younger and my passion for really advocating and for people and for humans, and just really knowing that people, I mean, I'm an empath. I'm very like, I don't know.
So let me show you something real quick.
I just really have firm beliefs in that people can change.
They can, absolutely, 100%.
Yeah,
I did. I mean, I was strung out on meth.
Wrong in a lot of ways. I've seen the systems do a lot of wrong to a lot of people.
And
so I just want to keep changing systems.
Yeah,
not
changing systems, exactly.
Not people.
Yeah, and you know the systems were put in place originally to keep things under control, but you know the way the system works is somebody does something, and it causes an uproar, so they change the law or the policy or whatever it is as a blanket effect for everyone. And that happens a lot. One person's screw up will make things harder on 2 million other people in the United States right now. Yeah. What were you going to say, Nathan? You had something to show us?
Yeah. These are the conditions of my parole, the specific rules that I had to
abide by,
sign and initial every single line. These are the rules that if I break one of these rules, that can get me sent. I mean, we're talking, what is this? 9 pages.
Yep. And you got to remember all those things.
And I've got to remember all of these.
Yeah. Yep, absolutely. It's crazy.
Okay, so where does change start? So we're like, really, again, where can we start? Like, where's our starting point? Like, how can we just, where do we start, right? I mean, because what's going on, like, it's not really helping anyone.
Yeah, it's not helping and it's not working.
Not working, it's hurting. So where's a lot of the advocacy for prison reform? Like, what are they looking at? Do they, I mean,
it's so nuanced and so like it's
because that makes me think again, multidisciplinary team. So let's look at it again, mental health perspective, working with kids. Let's just even consider kids in the welfare system. Mom and dad are in jail, substance abuse, domestic violence, you name it. Mom's over here in county, dad's over there in prison. Kids are with grandma. Okay, I've seen that. I've lived that. Worked that. Okay, so again, cross are passing. Paths are crossing.
Paths are crossing, yeah.
My brain is. But like, even when you take those, like how far we're coming in mental health and all that stuff, and how it takes teams of people to help a person, I would think that's very similar. That would be a good, right? Someone coming out of prison needs a team. They're going to need certain established services to help them get on their feet and get established. So, you know, I'm just new. I don't know too much about that. But that's why I was asking, just like, you know, what kind of organizations are out there advocating for these kinds of changes and really providing individuals coming out of prison to really set them up on a new path, offer them educational. I mean, I know there's educational opportunities in the prison. So I Okay, I'm gonna change. I'm just gonna twist this for just a second. I'm a Toastmaster, and I was on the Toastmasters website, and I'm just doing something, and I saw an article about Toastmasters in prison, a prisoners Toastmasters group. I thought that was
Yeah, we had Toastmasters in the unit I was at. They got it actually right after I left. They didn't have it while I was there, but a lot of the other units did.
And I just thought, wow, okay, right? Like, there we go. That's awesome. Like, you know, leadership skills, communication skills. Those are skills you're going to take away into the real world. You're going to have to advocate for yourself, right? You're going to have to be your own biggest advocate. That's something I talk about. People with disabilities and job seekers, like, you only know what you've been through. You know what you're going through. You know what you need, right? So, I mean, I assume it's the same thing. But really just, you know, implementing programs like that, in which obviously that's come a lot through years of advocacy from advocates before to get programs like that offered in prisons. But, you know, continuing that to get more services, more assistance, more programs, more clubs, more organizations, more nonprofits to provide with clothing or housing or transportation or getting a GED or getting a degree or moving into a certification program, an apprenticeship program, like moving them into what, you know, I mean, listen, I know what structure's like. I know what it's like to fall in line. Okay. There's a similarity there.
Yeah.
You know, like, you get the eye and you're just standing, like, you just can't even make eye contact. Okay. So in that sense, like, that structure, you use that, right? You use that transferable skill right there. You take that and you run with it. Now that it's already now, you know, because, okay, I get it. Like, they're trying to implement structure. They're trying to implement whatever and control and power. So I know there's like other things that this kind of leans into, and I'm not trying to lean that far into it. But when it comes to that structure that is given in prison, and then you're getting out using that, right? Those skills. So I would like to see, and I'm just curious, just as from an advocate standpoint, looking for more advocates, like, you know, who are the prison reform advocates, and like, what do they talk about? That's, you know, I'd like to hear more, know more, and that really kind of helps out everybody, because there is a lot of alignment, like a lot of similarities, right, in the advocacy of what those the needs are of humans.
Right.
Hey, think about that. Humans that have barriers and
they all have the same basic needs.
They're all same basic needs. So, I mean, nobody has to reinvent the wheel. No one's trying to reinvent the wheel. We're just really trying to help another population, another group of individuals that deserve same opportunities. But, you know, we haven't really talked about those voting for the voting rights of.
I have no voting rights. I'm allowed to vote.
Yeah.
But that came up in California or something, right? Recently, last couple of years, it was somewhere on the ballot.
So, in the state of Colorado,
I remember that.
The first time I was allowed to vote as a parolee in the state of Colorado was last year.
I just remember that was somewhere on the ballot saying, if you are for allowing, you know, felons given their rights back to vote, was on the ballot. And I thought that was okay.
Yeah, it's only in some states. In some states, you can vote while you're on parole. Not in prison, but while you're on parole.
No,
in other states, you have to be off paper before you can vote. And there's other states that won't let you vote at all.
Yeah. So in Texas, you can apply. You can get your voting rights back after you get off parole.
Yeah. Okay, so that's where Texas is at. Okay,
that's Texas. Yeah, that's where Texas is at, which makes absolutely no sense to me. And I'm kind of on the fence about whether they should let people in prison vote, because the laws still affect them whether they're in prison or out of prison. Okay. That's a whole different discussion. I know I am definitely for, if I am out, I should be able to vote. I am paying my freaking taxes. I mean, back in the day, they threw a bunch of tea in the harbor because of taxation without representation.
Yeah, that's true.
I mean, I'm just saying that's where I'm at on it. I feel like if you're out of prison, you should be able to vote 100%, because those people that are in the Capitol, whether it's state, local, state, or federal, are making decisions that are directly affecting you.
Hmm.
Yeah, but I mean, again, that's important to talk about, right?
It
When we
is,
talk
yes.
about stigma, because this is going to show up on people's ballots. It's going to come up again and again and
Yes.
again. They need to be aware. They need to be knowing that it's out there. People are trying to, make the change to offer these voting rights back to people who have served their time, paid their dues, quote unquote, even if, that's a whole nother conversation.
Right.
But quote unquote, what did Nathan call it? Once you're wet?
Off paper.
Off paper.
Off parole. Yeah, off parole.
Yeah.
Off supervision. That counts on probation too.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just kind of a slang term. Off paper.
Yeah, but I mean, and I know, again, so that's why I was just bringing it up, because that was something that I knew that I had observed. I knew that I had come across my ballots, and I voted for, obviously, returning those rights back to our prisoners. After
And that's
they've
something.
Yeah.
And that's something fairly new, is giving their rights back to them.
Yeah, it is new.
I mean, I don't know how long ago it was, but
I mean, I
a
live
few
in a
years. Yeah.
still a red state.
Yeah. But it wasn't that long ago. Like my pastor of my church has been to prison. When he got out in '98, he couldn't vote. Like, it was years before he was able to vote. Yep.
Well, I know, and I think it's part of that systemic oppression, right? Like,
Yeah,
just
and
never give them their rights back to vote. So
yeah, I know exactly. And that's kind of what Mushka was saying. She used to be a forensic social worker, and it was just a mess. The whole system was a mess. Yeah.
yes, advocating, voice of the client, being for the system, working with the attorneys, the judges, the professionals, right? Psychiatric professionals, mental health professionals, substance abuse professionals, domestic violence, or whatever, anger management, all the professionals.
Yeah, with all those initials behind their name, Nathan.
Do I need to put them back on the screen? I can do that.
No, you're good. You're good.
But basically the go between advocate,
yeah.
voice. Yeah. Oh, I see what it was being written there. She was like, yeah. Got it. Okay. Yeah. Ooh, that's hard work. Okay. I want to go back. Wait, prison reform, Mackenzie's statement. Prison reform is complicated. Oh, yeah. What did I get myself into? Talk about this. No, it's funny. For-profit prisons. Oh, that's a good. Okay, for-profit prisons have spread to 29 states, and this isn't positive change as far as the Department of Justice studies show. Okay. Ooh.
The state of Colorado has actually been downsizing their private prison populations. We only have 2 left. We used to have 5 private prisons.
And those are, for anybody that doesn't know, not all prisons are run by their state. There are private corporations that go in and build prisons. They run it according to state standards. And then they charge the state however much per day per inmate. Basically, is how it works.
Business.
It's a business. It's a big business. I will say this, though. Most of the private prisons are run better, are in better shape, have better food, better commissary, better clothes, better everything than the state-run prisons do.
Right, but they don't offer, like in the state prisons where they offer mental health programs and different classes and different just other types of programs and stuff. The private prisons in Colorado have none of that.
Really, I don't know about.
It's all just warehousing. They throw people in. They throw people in and they just keep them there. They don't offer you any kind of programs, any way to better yourself, anything. There's nothing there.
See, I'm almost positive in Texas that we do, but I have to check on that. I don't want to say that for sure.
Yeah.
Because it may be the same way. Because it's the same corporations that are doing it nationwide.
So in Colorado, the 2 that we have left are both run by Core Civic.
Yeah. We had ACA, and there was 2 of them. I don't remember who the other one was, though.
Yeah, ACA is another
But
one.
this is good for now because I didn't know this. I mean,
Yeah, 𝙎𝙀 is the other big one.
𝙎𝙀, yep.
I mean, it's just good to know between for-profit or state-ran and private.
Mm-hmm.
Say that.
And the for-profit and the private are the same. So in Texas, TDCJ is considered a nonprofit. It's a not-for-profit corporation, more or less, because everything that they make is supposed to go right back into the system. I don't know how that works. That's not really my forte, but
no, that's okay. But it's just a mental note to understand, that not all prisons are run the same.
No, they're not. Absolutely not. And I'm almost positive they offer some in Texas because we have several of the GEO prisons are customers of mine. And I got online and looked at the GEO website, and they offer education and stuff. And I don't know to what extent it is. And there may not be any like mental health programs or anything like that. It may just be like GED stuff, which is still super important.
Yeah.
Yes, that is exactly right.
Thank you.
They absolutely do. That is 100% correct. They charge the state out the ass per person.
Right.
I want to say in Texas, you can house an inmate. It costs like $80-something a day or something like that. And I think the private prisons were like $120 to $150 a day is what it costs them. And that was several years ago. I heard that. So it could be more now.
This is very informative.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Yes. Ooh, a lot to talk about here.
A lot to talk about. And we're almost out of time.
Yep.
Wow. I mean, we've made jokes. We've talked about some stuff. I mean, I've been to a couple not jail cells, like cells, but I know that I've been to the county jail to visit parents in jail. And that cannot even compare to what it's like going to a prison. And
really, to me, prison time was easier time than county time was.
Prison time is so much easier than county time.
Oh my God.
Really?
Yeah, because county time, you were in the tank with anywhere from 8 to however big your county jail is. You may have 50 to 100 people in that dorm. And you're there. All you can do is watch TV. You were there, and that's it. You don't get out. You might get wrecked. You might not.
Well, not only that, but just the people coming in, half of them are detoxing, and you've got new people in and out all the time, and it's just this madhouse and chaos and everything. When you actually get to prison, you can kind of kick back and just chill for a minute.
Yeah, because you'll be in there with the same people.
There's more stability to the environment, and it's
you get to know the officers, right? And you get to know all the inmates, and it's kind of not revolving door like county.
Yeah, exactly. Because you may be in the tank with somebody that's only serving a misdemeanor, and they're going to be out in 90 days. So they don't give a shit. They're going to act however they want to. It makes the whole vibe of the tank come down. But in prison, for one, you can get out of your cell. You go to chow. You can go to school. You can go to the rec yard, which is actually outside in a fence and not just concrete walls with a little, skylight up there. And it's just a lot different. It's a lot easier time.
Oh, good. We made an hour.
Yeah, we did.
Let's not call that last comment.
Let's do that.
Let's not do this right now.
Since our guest is from Florida. All right, guys. Well, we can call it a night right there, man. DeeJae, I appreciate you coming on. It was a blast.
Oh,
Even though your brain was fried and you're tired, and we appreciate you.
But, it's important. This is so important.
Yeah.
So.
All right. I'm going to do a shameless plug. Next Tuesday at 6 p.m. Central, I have Amy Olseth. And next Wednesday, she's an interventionist, holistic interventionist, deals with people with abuse or addiction. And then, Mushka, if you're still watching, and I butcher your name, I am so sorry. But next Wednesday at 7 Central, I have 𝙎𝙬𝙙𝙬𝙙𝙬𝙬. Now, whether I said that right, I have no idea.
This is good.
Yeah. And then in 2 weeks, and I hadn't even told Nathan about this because she just asked me today. Amanda Knight wants to come on the 2nd. It's a Tuesday night and talk about her experiences with her dad at 7 p.m. While you're looking for your calendar on any of the stigma.
Let's go. Get these conversations rolling.
Yeah, maybe I said it right. I got a heart emoji, so maybe I said it right.
Yay. Oh. Now that
That
is a
should be
social
good.
worker.
Okay.
She's got the initials for
Yeah,
social
she
work.
is amazing. Like, if you're not following her,
Yeah,
connected to
social
her,
work.
you need to. Like, she is so
Have a conversation, man.
yeah, like her posts are amazing, and when she does videos, you can hear the passion in her voice, and she's just a sweet person.
Awesome.
She's amazing. And then I have Gabe is going to be my guest on the 2nd at noon. Yeah, I'm excited about that. Like, I get kind of
coming back.
Yeah, like whenever you got these, like whenever you reached out to me, I was like, oh my God, like she's a live stream legend, man. What's she going to do coming on my little old show? And then the same thing with Gabe. He was like, man, we need to get together, bro, and collaborate. I was like, let's
I'm
do
pretty
it.
sure, DeeJae, you were the one who asked me to be on my live too, and I was the same way. I was like, "What, really?
I know.
Why
It's
not?
like,
We're all
You want to
live
be on my
I
live?"
know. But
Listen.
back when you asked Nathan, like Nathan had just, we both started at like almost the exact same
Yeah, the same time.
And so we were all like, oh my God, like how do you even work StreamYard? Like what the hell is going on in StreamYard? Because neither one of us knew anything. So like
We did.
did.
There was a few times where we just kind of went live together to figure stuff out.
Yeah, like we one
Gotta go
time,
for it. It's
we had
great.
been using StreamYard. This is a funny story. We had been using StreamYard, and we were like, well, let's just look at the free version of Restream and see what it holds. So we got on Restream and we went live on Restream just for 10 or 15 minutes, just to play with stuff and see what did what and what were the advantages, just all that kind of stuff, comparing it. And like we spent about a month in the DMs just talking back and forth. All right, how do you do this? What about this? All right, I figured this out.
Yep.
That's it.
Yeah.
That's how you do it. And there you are. No, but like the mission's really important. So
It is. It's something. And Nathan, actually the one that reached out to me, I had been thinking about it in the back of my head, but he was like, man, I think we need to use our experience for something on here. Yeah. And so it was first us posting about it, and then it was like, well, let's just do a whole separate live show, separate from our individual ones, do it together, and just bring people on and have people like Amanda's dad has been to prison. Yeah, advocates, people whose dad has been to prison.
Yeah.
Just the whole, like Jessica Hill, she works for
our experience.
Yeah, exactly.
How
like
we connect to this, this
yeah.
mission, how we connect is really important.
And even bring people on that have resources that can help felons. Like Jessica Hill, she works for Express Employment Professionals. She says she'd come on and talk about it because she deals with a lot of felons and just kind of the options they have for people. So there's been a whole kinds of people want to be a part of it. So
that's what it's all about. That's how you know what you're doing is good. It's right.
Yeah.
So keep it going.
Yeah. All right. We are at 1 hour now. We made it to 1 hour. We did it.
Yeah. Did it. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you, DeeJae. I appreciate it. This was a blast.
All right.
All right. Everybody that was in the comments, thank you so much for all your support, as always. We appreciate you. And we will see y'all in a couple of weeks with Amanda Knight.